So the EPA just banned my wood stove. As you know, there are many, many wood stoves just like this one. So I thought I'd start up the wood stove today while I talk to you about all the regulations and the craziness when it comes to a wood stove. The interesting thing about wood stoves is there is a wide variety of opinions about them. Now, the majority of my channel would say, yes, wood stoves, everybody should have a wood stove, it's great. But there are a minority on my channel that would say, no, we don't want wood stoves, they stink, they cause my asthma. The thing is you got to understand that people who come to my channel are like-minded, like me. I have a wood stove, so they're going to come and watch a wood stove channel. So those that aren't interested in wood stoves don't watch my channel. So I'm still getting comments from people who say, no, we shouldn't have wood stoves in our society. The EPA tends to listen to that kind of stuff. A while back, the EPA was told by the Supreme Court that they can no longer make regulations. A lot of people have decided that the EPA has no authority over them, they're going to do whatever they want. Which is interesting because the EPA is still making rules and regulations that don't appear to be written by Congress, because that's what the Supreme Court said, is anything that the EPA has to enforce has to be approved by Congress. So you make a law, you know, a bill, I'm only a bill. So you write a law, you vote on the law, it goes to the Senate, they approve it, then it goes to the White House, and it gets approved. We just found out that some reason the White House is still keeping oil companies from drilling and doing different things because the EPA says no. Where was the Congress in all this? What is the enforcer of the Supreme Court? If the Supreme Court tells the president, no, you can't do something, who's going to stop the president from doing it? Nobody. We saw this during the lockdowns. The president said that we're going to allow people to stay in their homes even though they couldn't afford the rent. So they couldn't be evicted by the landlord. Well, the Supreme Court said that was unconstitutional, can't do that. They did it anyways, even after the Supreme Court said no. We come to wood stoves, and these are not like your grandma and grandpa's wood stoves. These wood stoves are highly engineered to be as efficient as possible. The idea is to keep the smoke from coming out of the chimney. We had a Franklin. My grandma had a Franklin, but we had a Franklin down the hill when we were doing a heat exchanger for the camper while we were building a tiny house. I showed you how to build it. So we bought a Franklin. It was like 50 bucks. We bought it. And there was holes all over the front of it. The door swung open. There was no seals. It just was so inefficient. The smoke just plumed out of it. So the EPA got involved, I think around 2010, 2015, somewhere around there, and said, that's it. No more smoke can come out of the chimney. And they limited how many parts per million of whatever toxin they were trying to keep out of the atmosphere. Now, people are going to say, well, burning firewood is carbon neutral because the tree took in all the carbon, and then you're releasing the carbon, and another tree is going to take in all the carbon. That's not what they're trying to regulate. They don't want people complaining about their asthma next door. So in 2015, they basically shut down all manufacturers of wood stoves. There were a few that survived, and they had to redesign overnight wood stoves. So they built these kind of wood stoves, these efficient wood stoves. There's two types. There's the catalytic converter type, and it has kind of a radiator in it that has precious metals that actually change the smoke into something else. Those things can be damaged quite easily, especially if you try to clean them. And then they have these. These are air tubes type. You got 3 air tubes. Mine has 3 air tubes. I know you can't see it very well. What that does is when they heat up, it draws in air, and then it causes the smoke to burst into these beautiful blue flames. So if you ever had a candle, for example, and you blew out the candle and the smoke comes up, you can take a match, light that smoke up, and it'll light that candle back up. Well, that's the same principle, lights the smoke. So that means there's no smoke coming out of the chimney. Now, a lot of people say, we just burn it real hot, you don't have to worry about it. Well, maybe you don't want to burn it real hot. It reduces the amount of wood that you have to burn, which is really nice in our little tiny house. Our tiny house is small, it just doesn't take a lot to burn. Which brings me to another subject real quick. One of the things I hear about these wood stoves all the time in my comment section is, they'll burn you out of your house, you're just too hot, I can't use it. Well, then minimize how much wood you're putting in it. This wood stove that can cover 2,000 square feet. We only have a 200 square foot house. If I fill this entire thing up, it would just roast us out of here. But I can keep the temperature maintained within 20 degrees. So I light it around 65 degrees. It gets up to 85 degrees, and I can let it shut down for, about 8 hours, or that cycle is about 8 hours. But I use really small sticks of wood. I mean, look at this. It's tiny. I mean, I had to split this several times just to get it small enough. So I just put 2 pieces down here at the bottom, and then I put a couple bigger pieces. You can see, maybe a little bit bigger. Go in the other direction. And then 2 more pieces go in the original direction. So I get 3 layers of firewood. And the only reason I do that is it makes it easier to light. If it wasn't for the lighting aspect of it, I wouldn't even worry about that. I'd just throw a stick of wood in there and be done with it. What I do is I put kindling in here. I just use bark basically. And I can shove it down here in between the 2. I don't know if you can really see that. And then I can get it to light up. And then I just take my little torch here and I light it. Now I know the real men out there, oh no, you can't use a torch, you gotta use paper and you gotta use match. Well, as many times as I light this a day, I'm just gonna use my torch. Now I understand in an SHTF situation, which I need to remind everybody, we're not currently in one. So I can use my torch. And it just doesn't use that much. I might use a bottle a year, maybe. And it's just like that. One of the things that is key about this wood stove is these seals here. You can see it, I don't know, you might be able to see it on the door. It's hard to get the camera. But I also put one extra one here. That seal has to be tight. I put the extra one there so it would always seal up just fine. If you take a piece of currency, paper currency, I always say a dollar bill, but then somebody said, can I use a $100 bill? So, you know, and you stick it in between the door and the wood stove, you should not be able to slide it out. You can buy these gaskets, fiberglass gaskets are what they are. As I'm lighting this, I don't think a lot of people understand the principle of lighting a wood stove. The key to a wood stove is the chimney temperature. I've actually heard people say they put fans on the chimney to get some of the heat into the house. But the chimney is what gets your fire to really get going. Heat rises. If you're getting a lot of smoke while you're lighting it into the house, it's because cold air is coming down your chimney and pushing smoke out. As you get that chimney hotter, the heat rises and it'll start pushing that smoke upwards. I try to get the chimney about 300 degrees. It just draws this air in through the ventilation, the vent, just sucks it in and up. And everybody's going to say, well, you got to have a damper to control that. These new wood stoves, it's actually federal law, you can't have a dampener on the chimney. And people are going to say, well, all your heat's going up the chimney. That's not true. There is a roof right here. So the fire comes to the front here, and then there's a little space right here where the smoke can go up to. But everything else is hitting that ceiling. And all this fire brick, I think it's soapstone, I'm not really sure, heats up. And that's like an insulation. It holds that heat for a very long time. Now another key is you want your firewood cured, not green, dry. You want your moisture content about 20% or less. And you can buy these moisture testers online. I always mean to bring it with me while I'm making a video, but I always forget. I split the wood, and then you just take the 2 probes of the moisture tester, you stick it into where you just split it. If it says 20% or less, then it's good. One of the things I've noticed is the more moisture that is in your firewood, the crummier your window looks. Now, that's called creosote. I've heard people say, no, it's not creosote, it's what they treat railroad ties with. And that's true, they do. But creosote is a gooey, tarry substance that sticks into the chimney. It also will drip onto your roof. The first year we were here, we had a serious creosote problem because okay, so now the fire's rolling on its own. You want to leave this open for a while. You don't want to close it. 5 or 10 minutes at most. That will get the chimney nice and hot. So then when you close it, it will start drawing in all by itself, heating up those air tubes to get it self-sustaining, so it's burning all that smoke. I figure if the windows are getting gooped up, then the chimney is getting gooped up. Now, the best test is, can I wipe the soot off the window with a sock? If I can't, then I have to take a wet wipe or a towel or whatever, but a wet wipe, you get a little bit of ash on it, and it cleans that tar off the window really easy. I don't know why, but it doesn't work without the ash. People always ask me, what kind of wood stove is that? Well, it's called a Wood Pro, and if you go to their website, they don't sell them anymore. They're already obsolete. This one is 85% efficient, and it's only a couple years old. But I think now that the efficiency by the EPA requires it to be like 95%. It also is reducing the amount of particulate that can come out of the chimney. I'm suggesting that you go out and buy your wood stove now. Go to Home Depot and you can pick up a wood stove for $2,200, and they're a little bit expensive. On the other hand, we bought this one on Facebook Marketplace. It had only been used twice, and I think we got ours for $400. This is a heat-powered fan. Everybody always asks about it. Just type into Google heat-powered fan. I don't sell them. Everybody wants to know what it is. I found mine on YouTube. There was an advertisement on YouTube. One of the things I've noticed about YouTubers is they don't test their firewood. It's quite obvious, and they're burning wet wood. Or they're burning very sappy wood like pine and cedar, because their window is always dirty. You can see here, maybe, I don't know, maybe you can't. I've got a couple dark spots right there. That'll burn off on this burn, but I must have gotten a piece of wet wood in there. It happens. I don't understand why. I mean, I test every piece that comes into this house. Believe it or not, every piece I test with the moisture tester. And they're all about 15%, but I can see that this log here is getting a little bit of water spitting out of it. It's just, I don't know why. Everything's appropriate. I know I'm burning dry wood because I am not getting any creosote into the chimney. I don't know if you can hear the clicking from the wood stove. So that's telling me the chimney is heating up. And within 5 minutes, I'll be able to shut this door. But if I shut it now, the flame just instantly starts to die down because there's no draw. There's nothing able to draw that up. So all the smoke is staying inside of here and it's suffocating the fire. As soon as I open it back up. So if you click the up next box, it'll take you to a video where they said I was lying to you. So if I can inspire you, enjoy your dreams, even in wintertime. Thanks for watching.